to write a tribute speech to someone who has really meant a lot to us in our life, and well, instead of one person, I chose four. So here we go. My tribute speech today is about my longtime friend group and the interesting fellows that make it up. These guys have been with me since elementary school, and they're basically like my brothers. All of us are really, really different, and I think since we're all such different people, that's how we have been able to stay together for so long. Basically, I'm going to give you all a rundown of each of these amazing people, and with that tell you a fun story about them and how they've impacted my life for the better. So the best way to start off this list would definitely be by talking about my good old David. He's the dude to the right of me in the red shirt. David has been my longest friend out of all of these guys, and really more than that is my role model. So I would describe David as like a love child between Shelby Stewart and Brennan Graham. David's probably the most intelligent person I've ever met, and if not that, then he's tied for the most intelligent person. He's really bright and honestly can just excel in any situation because he's both book smart and practical smart. Definitely the smartest person out of all of us. David's a lot like a cat, and I say that because he's very moody, and we have very differing political views on a lot of things, and he loves debating, and I don't. But we tend to get into it when any sort of politics comes up, and he always wins because he's just smarter than I am, and I always get fueled by my emotions, so he can just beat me in any argument. A fun story about David is that he's always had a bit of trouble with girls, and he doesn't really know how to approach any feelings that are related to liking someone, and so he just doesn't. Whenever I ask him if he's interested in anyone, he always just tells me that the day he becomes interested in someone romantically is the day that the world will begin to end. Above all of that, David was the first friend I ever made after my parents got divorced and I moved to Lexington. I remember him approaching me when I was just sitting in the class, scared and alone, and us becoming super close after that. He's an amazing guy, and I know that he's going to change the world one day with his innovative mind and good heart. Moving on, we have Nikolai. He's the guy with the gray shirt that's laying down on the floor. If David is one end of an introvert-extrovert spectrum, then Nikolai is sitting at the exact opposite of that spectrum. Nikolai is very, very charismatic and always is just a bundle of energy that's planning things, cracking jokes, and starting fires in his backyard. This dude is probably one of the most adventurous people I've ever met, and he'll put himself in dangerous situations just so that he can get a kick out of them. For example, he has a blow-up pool in his backyard that he will just sit in during the summer, and he loves going on top of his garage roof and jumping into said pool, which stresses me out a lot, especially because it's not very big. Nikolai loves everything to do with heights, and he actually eventually wants to go into being a pilot. He already has a license to fly a private plane on his own. I've really learned how to be fearless from Nico, which is what my pet name for him is, and he's just the type of person with the mentality that life is worth living and that we should go out and live it. He's always a great person to hang out with, and his antics bring energy and spirit to our group. Next we have good old Henry. That's the guy to the left of me in the royal blue shirt. Henry is basically the parent of our group in a lot of ways, but that's just because he's really mature. In all my years knowing Henry, I have never seen him get seriously angry and raise his voice. It's really impressive, and he just is so down to earth and chill that literally a meteor could be crashing towards the earth, like right now, and he'd just be like, dang. Out of all these folks, I would say that Henry is definitely the most social person. He's not really extroverted, but it's rather that he is super nice and approachable and can fit into any group with fairly relative ease. Henry is also a huge ladies' man, but he doesn't want to be in any kind of relationship, so we always have been jealous of the amount of attention that he receives from the female Venus, because he doesn't really care about any of it. This guy is also just so full of really good and reasonable knowledge about life, and he really can just help you get through any issue you have if you talk to him about it. A fun story, and this is more of a quirk of his, is that he loves riding his bike, and he'll go downtown and ride it, and so whenever we will all go as a group downtown, we will see like random homeless people, and Henry has like nicknamed these people because he sees them all the time, and he gives them like a backstory and like says they're aliens and stuff. It's really weird that he knows them. But he's taught me how to relax, study the world, and most importantly, be at peace with myself. Last, and certainly not least, we have Sean. He's the blonde guy with the glasses and the teal shirt. I could talk for hours upon hours about Sean because he is one that gets into the most trouble. This isn't because he's a bad person. In fact, he has a heart made of gold and is one of the most loyal and sincere people I've ever met. But it's rather because he is also the most clumsy person I've ever met.
You may have some students that are dressed down today in your classroom.
And is a very physical type of person. David does not enjoy roughhousing at all, and is not a very physical type of person in any sense of the word. Sean has been banned twice from David's house for the exact same reason both times. And actually, the day that he was unbanned from David's was the day that he got banned from going there again, not by David's parents, mind you, by David.
fell
Both
through the
times what
cracks.
happened was that I was sitting in a chair, minding my own business, Sean starts wrestling, and then we proceed to knock a drink off the table next to the chair and it stains David's carpet. David does not like when things stain or are messy, and so to him, Sean is a catalyst of those things. Though it might seem like I'm giving him a hard time, that's also because Sean is really the perfect fit for like a golden retriever type of person. Sean is the most genuine, loyal, and lovable person ever, and though he's goofy, he has a heart of gold and has really taught me what it means to be a good friend and an overall good person. So this is my group of friends. As you can see, we're all very different, but that's what makes us so close. Each of these amazing guys has really contributed to making me into the person I am, and I know that we will always stay as tight as brothers even when we grow old and live far away. Thank you.